We're excited to announce the newest module in Argenta, online auctions. Auctions are fundraising events in which guests bid to win auction items and packages. The highest bidder wins the item, and your organization receives additional funding. Like all Argenta modules, auctions start at the auction list. In the list, you can see all the auctions you've created. You can add new auctions, categorize and filter them, and open the auction to begin using the workspace. The auction workspace contains tabs to help you easily find what you need. The first tab, Auction Details, has all the descriptive fields and initial settings that should be modified as necessary. The first item, Auction's Current Status, is important. This is the auction's life cycle and begins with new. Your auction should remain in planning until the bidding begins. You must change the status to bidding open once the auction begins. If you only need to close the bidding for a short time, you should choose bidding closed. Once the auction is complete, you should change the status to complete. Next, you must choose a title for your auction. It can be anything you like, but must be limited to 140 characters or less. Enter the date and time your auction will begin, and the date and time your auction will end. This is also important. Bidding won't be available outside of this window of time. Next, you might choose to classify your auction by auction type and/or category. If the classification code you need isn't listed, you can add one by clicking the corresponding Add New button. If someone on your team is responsible for the auction, you should choose them in the team member lookup control. If your auction is related to a specific campaign, and especially if you want to track the results of the auction, you should choose that campaign in the lookup field. If your auction is related to a specific department, district, or precinct, you can choose those as well. If you're hosting an auction with a corresponding webinar, add the link for the webinar here. This will be displayed with your auction so guests will be able to find it easily. As with all workspaces in Argenta, you can upload as many files and notes as needed. The next tab, Public Form Design, is where you will upload a display image and comprehensive description for your auction. Use the Argenta copy editor to format text, upload images, or include links in your description. The pink link at the top of the workspace is the link to your public auction. You can display this link on social media or send it out in an email blast to let your supporters know where to go to find your auction. Now that you've seen how to add these auction details, let's look at the public auction form and how it looks so far. If you've uploaded a display image, it will be displayed here at the top of the auction interface above the description you entered. To the left, you'll notice the date and time the auction will start and the date and time the auction will end. If the auction is already running, you'll see the total amount raised so far. The auction interface displays a button to view all auction items. Let's look at how to upload items into your auction. From the auction workspace, choose the Auction Items tab. Here, you can easily add new items, filter the list of items already uploaded, search for an item, or export the list to Excel. You can see a photo of the item and all of the item details right in the list. Click the Add New button to get started. I'll open an item already created. Clicking Add New will automatically add your item and take you to the auction workspace to enter all the information about the item. First, you'll choose a photo of this item. Next, enter an item name and a brief item description. Auction items are displayed as part of the public auction workspace by default. If for some reason you need to hold the item from being displayed, you can change the status from yes to no in the currently public dropdown. Next, Enter the value of the item, the bid you'd like to start with, and the minimum bid increment. When a guest makes a bid, it must be at least the current bid plus the minimum bid increment. If you don't want to set this, simply leave it at $0. If this item is associated to a constituent in your system, choose that constituent in the lookup field. If your item is associated to a specific member of your team, choose that person in the associated team member lookup field. These fields are for internal information only. If you'd like to classify the item, you can do that by using the auction item type and/or the auction item category fields. Bidders can search for items using their respective classification codes. Purchase instructions are very important. They tell the bidder how they will receive their item if they win the bidding. Make sure to include as much detail as possible. Adding purchasing instructions is a final step to adding your item. Back at the top of the workspace, you'll notice an additional tab, Bidding Info and Activity. Once the auction begins and after it's finished, you'll be able to see all the bids each item received as well as the winning bid on this tab. Once you're finished in the auction item workspace, you can return to the auction workspace. The next tab is Item Bidding. This tab displays all the bids for all the items that were placed during the auction. You can watch this change as the auction is in process. Bidding on an item during the auction is very easy. The guest will click the View All Auction Items button, click the item they want to bid on, view the item details, then click the Bid on this auction item button. The bidding window will open. They will be prompted to enter their first name, their last name, their primary phone, and their email address and the amount they would like to bid. They must enter at least the amount of the next bid seen here. The system will search for a constituent record for them. If it finds one, it will use it to make the bid. If it doesn't find one, it will create a new constituent record, then place the bid. If the system finds two constituent records with the same email address, it will ask the user to confirm if that constituent record is theirs or not. If not, it will create a new record for them. Once the guest places their bid, the bid window will close. They can use the home icon to return to the initial auction screen or the list icon to be returned to the list of items. Several notifications will be sent during the auction. Guests receive an email when someone outbids them, if the details of an auction item are changed, when the bidding closes on an item, or if they have won a bid. If they are a bid winner, they will receive an invoice for the item with instructions on how to pay the invoice. The invoice will include a link to a form where the user can pay their invoice. If you indicated that you wanted to allow guests to pay with a check, there will be instructions on how to mail their payment on the invoice. Another important part of running an auction is sponsorships. You can ask strategic partners and friends to support your auction by donating items or providing financial support. You'll notice the auction sponsor section on the public auction interface. Each sponsor is allowed one image, usually their logo, and one link, usually to their website. It's easy to add a sponsor to your auction interface. In the auction workspace, choose the Auction Sponsorship tab. Just like auction items, you can view a list of all your sponsors, add new sponsors, filter, search the list, or export the list to Excel. To add a new sponsor, click the Add a New Sponsorship button. I'll open one already created. Clicking the Add a New Sponsorship button will automatically add your sponsor and take you to the sponsor workspace to enter the details. You'll upload the logo or photo that represents your sponsor, choose your sponsor's constituent record using the constituent lookup control, and enter the amount of their sponsorship. You can classify your sponsor using the sponsorship type and sponsorship category fields. You can enter a friendly title for the link you'll display for the sponsor on your public form. Then, you'll enter the URL for the link in the Sponsor's Link URL field. Remember to save your changes. The sponsor workspace contains another important tab, Sponsorship Payments. Here, you can add and view any payments your sponsor has made for their auction sponsorship. This completes our initial overview of the new auction module in Argenta. For more information, check our knowledge base at argentasoftware.com/KB.